Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are doing another tier list, as you can see, and in today's tier list we're going to be talking about or ranking every single Barcelona transfer, signing actually, since Messi left. Obviously, as we know, Messi left the PSG in August of 2021, and these are the 18 players that Barca have brought in since then. And today we're going to talk about their time at Barcelona, their impact at Barcelona, how they performed at the club, obviously, and then based on that criteria, we're going to put them into one of four tiers, as you guys can see on the side. The four tiers are great, aight, bad, and it's complicated. These tiers are kind of weird, I get that, but this tier list overall, it's going to be kind of weird to make because obviously some of these guys have been at Barca for like over 2 years. Some of these guys just got here in August. Some of these guys are no longer with Barcelona, and obviously some of these guys are still playing at the club. So it's going to be kind of hard to rank them all, but still I feel like we have enough of a sample size from all these guys to talk about like how good they've been for Barcelona. So yeah, this should be really fun. I hope you guys enjoy this video. This video was, however, not my idea, like this concept. I got this idea from Juan over on my Discord. And if you guys, obviously, if you watch my streams, if you watch my content at all, you guys should know who Juan is by now. He's one of my most, how do I say this? Interesting subscribers, but he's also one of my most loyal and best subscribers. So shout out to you, Juan. Thank you so much for the idea. And yeah, today we're going to talk about all these guys. This should be really fun. And yeah, let's start ranking some Barca signings. Starting off with Joao Cancelo. Now, obviously, Joao is not a permanent Barca player because he's currently on loan from Man City. But I'm still going to rank the loanees because it's fun and fuck it, why not? And to me, Joao Cancelo is going to go into great. Now, obviously, he's currently injured, but I already think he's coming back from that injury because I'm recording this video before the Copa del Rey match tomorrow against Bilbao. I think he's actually already on the squad list for that game, so he's already, on his way back, so I'm super happy about that. To me, Joao Cancelo has been one of the few bright spots on this team this season, and that's despite the fact that I don't think Xavi knows how to use him that well. I don't think the way that Xavi deploys him on the pitch is the best way to use him and utilize his strengths. But even with that being said, I mean, this guy's been fantastic in my opinion. Now, obviously, we know the deficiencies and the bad parts about Joao Cancelo. Defensively, he's not great. But he's been that way his whole career. He was that way at Juventus, he was that way at Man City, so we knew that when we signed him. But going forward, what you get with this guy is one of the best offensive fullbacks in world football. I mean, what this guy can do going forward is second to none. His ability to play out from the back and just progress the ball forward is amazing. His crossing ability is really, really good. And he has a great shot on him as well. And he can dribble, bro. This guy's crazy. He's like a winger playing fullback. We saw that goal that he scored against Betis in the first game that he played, full game that he played with Barca. I'm pretty sure that game was, where he's cutting in and out and blasting that ball with all that power to the far post. And then we also saw that game against Celta Vigo, the next game after that, or I think 2 games after that, where he scored that double and brought us back in that game. And he was everywhere on the pitch that game and just our best player by far, in my opinion. Apparently, Man City only won around 25 million for this guy. And if that's the case, sign him up today. Now, I know that 25 million for Barca is a fuck ton of money, but I'll contribute $10 of my own money to send it over to Barcelona so we can sign this guy. $10, that's all I can contribute. I'm sorry, I don't have that much money, but we'll contribute $10 from my own pocket so we can sign this guy permanently, because this guy, again, like I said, defensively not great, but going forward, one of the best in world football, and I miss him really. I miss him a lot, honestly. We see sometimes in these games where he's not playing, where we lack that, like we're not as dynamic out on the wings, and this guy just brings that to a whole new level when he's playing. So to me, he's a guy that I want to have for the foreseeable future, and I wanna see him in a Barca shirt for a long time. So I'm gonna put Joao Cancelo in great. Next up, we got Andreas Christensen, who to me is gonna go into great. Christensen has been arguably, not even arguably, I think he's been for sure a top 3 or top 5 Barca player over the past 2 years. Last year, he was amazing. This year, he's been amazing. On a team that has guys like Jules Kounde and Araujo, he's been arguably our best center back this year. And the fact that we got this guy on a free from Chelsea is insane. He's only, 27 years old? I mean, this guy is so good. One of the best center backs in world football. His awareness is insane. His ability to play from the back and his passing is ridiculous. Obviously, he's not the fastest player, but still, I mean, he's never had problems with that at Barcelona, because even with us playing a high line, he's still always in the right place at the right time. I mean, this guy is insanely good. Such a good player. Every Barca fan that watches Barca games, which I'm sure if you guys are watching this video, you do, you know how good and valuable Christensen is to our team. So for me, he's going to go into great. I mean, this guy is a gem. So happy we have him. Next up, we got Inigo Martinez, who to me is also going to go into great. We also got this guy on a free from Atletico Bilbao, and in the 6 months he's been at the club, he's been a bright spot for this team. He's our 4th choice center back because obviously he doesn't start every single game. But when he plays, he's amazing, bro. He is amazing. He's such a good player. I love his aggression, man. I love how aggressive he is and how passionate he is on the pitch. Sometimes I wish that Araujo was a little bit more like Inigo Martinez in the sense that he's always like, he's a bastard, but he's an asshole, but in a good way. He's a good asshole, like a Sergio Ramos type asshole, where when he plays for the other team, you fucking hate this guy, but when he plays for your team, you fucking love him. And this guy playing out from the back is fantastic as well. He is such a good player. So to me, Inigo Martinez, and again, like I said, in the 6 months that he's been at the club, I've been really impressed by him, and I'm super happy we have him. Great business by Barca. Great business this by Barca. Obviously, we got to sign players like this because our financial situation is so bad. And with a guy like this, getting him on a free, that is a fantastic, fantastic signing. So to me, Inigo Martinez, a great player. He's going to go into great. Next, we got Memphis Depay. Memphis is weird, bro. I'm going to put Memphis in I just feel bad putting him in bad because Memphis, when obviously he came in that summer that Messi left that exact year, and when he came in from Lyon, he had a really good season at Lyon, and that's why we signed him. He was really, really good. I think he scored 20 goals in Ligue 1 that year before he came to Barca. And his first few games with Ronald Koeman, obviously we were losing those games and not playing well, but he scored a lot of goals. And then, obviously, he got injured, and then when Xavi came in after he came back from his injury, Xavi wasn't really playing him that often, and he kind of just fell out of favor with the manager, or just he wasn't getting in the team. And then after that, he obviously left the next year. He left the next year. Obviously, he went to Atletico Madrid on a loan, I'm pretty sure. Maybe they signed him permanently. Either way, he left the club, and now he's not really playing at Atletico Madrid either. When he plays, he actually plays pretty well, in my opinion. I actually really like Memphis Depay as a player, but to me, I obviously can't put him in great because he wasn't great for Barca, but I feel bad putting him in bad because it wasn't his fault that he didn't work out because he was injured a lot. I mean, he missed a lot of games his first season at the club, and when he played with Coleman, I actually thought he found a way to be really productive. So for that reason, I'm going to put Memphis Depay in I. Some people might disagree. They might say, oh, he deserves to be in bad, but to me, I just feel it wouldn't be right to me to put a guy in bad who dealt with a lot of injuries at the club. Next up, we have Eric Garcia. Eric Garcia, to me, at Barca, he was bad. I don't care what anybody says. Eric Garcia at Barcelona was bad. He was not good for us whatsoever. And this season at Girona, he's been good. But I think people are overrating how good he's been because obviously Girona are top of the table, or they're actually second, but they're tied on points with top of the table Real Madrid, and they might very well win the league this season. And they're having a fantastic year. And obviously Eddie Garcia is a starter for them. I think the past 2 games he's actually been hurt, so he hasn't been a starter. But it's still, I mean, Eddie Garcia has been decent for them. But at Barca, he wasn't great at all. His first season there, he started a bunch of games because obviously we had Piqué and we had Araujo who dealt with some injuries. And then the next year after that, he played, but not really that much. He was on the bench mostly because we had Araujo and Kounde who were fully fit the whole year mostly. And when Eddie Garcia played for Barca, I mean, Eddie Garcia doesn't fit well in Barca's system. He can't play in a back 2. He's best suited playing in a back 3, where he can be that creative center back who can obviously facilitate going forward and all that shit. And at Barca, he couldn't do that. So I don't think we were using him to his best ability. But still, Eddie Garcia, if you watch him at Barca, he was really never a great player for us. He was almost always the weak link in our defense, in my opinion. So for that reason, I'm going to put him in bad. Again, not to take away from what he's doing this season at Girona because he's been really good, like I said. But at Barca, let's be honest, he was not great. Next up, we got Jules Kounde. Great to me. I really like Kounde as a player. Obviously, since he came back from injury, he has not been the same. When he got injured against Porto, I'm pretty sure in the UCL, and post-injury, he just hasn't been the player that he was. But before injury, need I remind you, he was arguably the best center back on form in world football. And even last season, he was amazing. Even playing out of position as a right back, he was amazing. This guy is such a gem, man. I talked about him a lot in my Barca transfer video and my keeper sell. So I'm not going to go too in-depth about Kounde in this one because obviously you guys can go check out those videos. But I really, really like Kounde as a player. I think going forward, he's really, really good. He's always I like the way that he takes risky passes, man. I like the way that he passes the ball. He tries to break the lines. I feel like he's not, I like the way that I like the fact that he's not super conservative going forward and he actually takes risks when passing the ball. And I love that about him. And he obviously scored that goal against Unión de Salamanca in the Copa del Rey a week back where he scored a banger shot from outside of the box. I really, really like Kounde. I hope he gets back to his best, obviously, because like I said, he hasn't been the greatest since coming back from injury. But I expect him to regain his form. And when I see Kounde play, man, I look at a guy who can be a generational talent and a starter for us and a pivotal player for us over the next decade. So I'm gonna put him in great. Next up, we got Marcos Alonso. Bad. Fuck this guy. I mean, he's not only, like I've said this before, he's a shitty human being and he's also a shitty player. Why is he at this club? I don't know. I want to get rid of him right now. I don't like him whatsoever. Get rid of him right now. This guy sucks. I hate him, honestly. I don't like him whatsoever. And if you think I'm being harsh, go look up Marcos Alonso's Wikipedia, and then you judge for yourself if you want to defend a guy like this and talk good about a guy like this. Fuck this guy. He's going to go into bad. Don't like him at all. Next up, we got Luuk de Jong. The streets will never forget, man. We will never forget what you did for us. You're going to go into great for me. One of my personal favorite Barcelona figures. This guy was at the club for a short period of time, on loan from Sevilla, but this guy gave me so many great memories. Every time he came off the bench, he scored a winner. Every single time he came off the bench, he scored a winner, and he also had good vibes about him. I really liked Luuk de Jong's vibes, and I feel like the team really liked Luuk de Jong as well. And I feel like Barca fans at first, when he first came in, we hated this guy, but as more time went on while he was at the club, we started falling more and more in love with him, and just the way that he played. I mean, this guy, in the air, very few players like him. This guy can just find the ball in the air and he can head that shit with that big ass head that he has. And I love every single inch of this man's body. He's going to go into great for me. Luuk de Jong. The streets will truly never forget about this guy. We will never forget that goal against Valencia, man. Not against Valencia, against Levante. That pass from Jordi Alba and your goal against Levante at the near post. We will never forget that. We love you, man. I trust me, we do. Every Barca fan watching this, we love Luuk de Jong. You guys know you do. Don't deny it. This guy's the best. So for me, he's going to go into great. Next up, we got Frank the Tank Kessie. Great. I wish this guy was still at Barca. He was really good for us last season. He was a pivotal part of that team who ended up winning the league. And he actually scored the goal to basically win us the league against Real Madrid. I don't know why we let this guy go. I don't know why we sold him to the Saudi League. And I don't know why we decided to bring in Romeu instead of this guy. I'll never understand that business by Barcelona. The fact that we brought him in from AC Milan on a free, fantastic business. The fact that we let him go for 12 million, which obviously Barca need that money, but still, man, it's not worth it. This guy could be, we need a guy like this in Barca today. We need a guy who can play as that holding midfield, who can actually like play that position well. Because we don't have a holding midfielder right now, and we're seeing it on this team. Frankie de Jong, I love Frankie. He's not a holding midfielder. Gundogan is not a holding midfielder. Romeu is for sure, he's a holding midfielder, but not a good one. And we're going to get into Romeu, obviously, very soon here. But to me, Frank Kessie, people might think I'm being a little bit overreactionary here. I really think that if you watched Barca last year, you know how good Frank Kessie was. He was a pivotal part to that team, and he was part of the reason why we were so good defensively in La Liga. He was really, really good to me. I really like Frank Kessie, and I miss him a lot. Honestly, I wish he was part of this team right now, and I'm going to put him in great. I think he deserves to be in great. Next up, we got Raphinha. Oh, man, I've talked a lot about Raphinha on tier lists in the past. I'm going to put him in I. I don't know how to feel about Raphinha, man. I feel like Raphinha sometimes when he plays and he's on his day, he looks like prime Neymar, but when he's not on his day, God, is he bad. Oh my God, is he bad when he's not playing well. He's losing the ball constantly. He's trying shit that doesn't work. He can't take players on one-on-one. And he's honestly lost his position to a 16-year-old. So that should tell you how not good he's been. Obviously, that speaks to how great Lamine Yamal is. But to me, Raphinha is a guy who I really like his profile. I don't want us to sell him because I think he's really, really good. I think he has potential because I saw him at Leeds and how good he was at Leeds. But at Barca, he's been I. I mean, that's the perfect way to classify Raphinha at Barca. He's been I. Not bad. He hasn't been great whatsoever, but he's I. I mean, he's had some good moments, but he's also had some very bad moments at the club. And for me, Raphinha is, again, he's going to go into I. I don't like, he's a good player, not a great player, but I think he has the potential to be a great player. But as of right now, I, 100%. He's going to be an I. Next up, we got Oriol Romeu. Oh, man, Oriol Romeu. Bad. This guy, man, he needs to go. He needs to go right now. First few games, he was really, really good. He's been bad. Now, he was good against Unión de Salamanca, but again, keep in mind, that is a third division team, and I think that's his form. I think Oriol Romeu belongs in the third division of Spanish football. You might think I'm being harsh. I don't think I'm being harsh. This guy, when you come up against a good team, he's unplayable, bro. He cannot hold his own against a good team. He hasn't been able to all year. And to me, Oriol Romeu, at first I thought it was great business by Barca. This is the only player that we signed, by the way, in the transfer window. This is the only guy that we signed for, I think, 5.6 million euros. And man, we could have used that money somewhere else because he has not been good to me whatsoever. Every time he comes on the pitch, my heart sinks. I feel the need to throw up, honestly. That's how I feel every time Romeu comes on the pitch. To me, he's going to go into bad. Just not a good player at all. This guy cannot be our answer as a holding midfielder because we are going to lose a lot of games when he plays. When he plays, we're going to lose a lot of games, and we have lost a lot of games when he's played. Obviously, we know the game against Antwerp where he single-handedly lost us that game because of how bad he was. He's just not a great player to me. He's going to go into bad. Next up, we got the Shark, Ferran Torres. Oh, man, Ferran's going to go into I for me. Now, obviously, I might be blinded by that performance against Real Betis on the weekend where he scored a hat-trick. But again, I don't want us to forget about Ferran, his last season at the club where he wasn't really good. And his first season at the club, he wasn't great either. Ferran Torres has one weakness, one huge glaring weakness, and that's his finishing. That game against Betis is the outlier, where he actually finishes all his chances, and finished them beautifully, by the way. Ferran Torres is a bad finisher in front of goal. He lacks so much poise in front of goal, and when he gets that fixed, this guy can be one of the best players in the world, honestly, because I think he has that potential. I think Ferran Torres is that good, and I don't want us to sell this guy, because I think he's that good. We signed him for 55 million from Man City with a lot of potential, and at the beginning of the season, I made a TikTok video talking about how I wish he would go back to Valencia because he was talking about, maybe like finishing his career at Valencia, and I was like, go right now because we don't want you. And I gotta eat my words because this season, he's arguably been our most productive attacker. Honestly, people don't want to have that conversation, but it has to be had. Ferran Torres, when he plays, he's our most productive attacker, arguably, along with maybe Lamine Yamal, who's 16. But in terms of people who can actually drive a car, he's been our most productive attacker who can drive a car. So to me, I'm gonna put Ferran Torres and I feel like this season, when like it finishes, I think he's gonna be really, really good for the rest of the season. I might put him in great, but for now I'm gonna hold off and put him in I because I don't think he's been he's been good enough for like good enough for long. He hasn't been good for a long enough period of time in order for me to put him in great with some of these other guys. Because again, like I said, his past 2 seasons weren't really the best, but this season he's been really, really good. And to me, I'm gonna put him in I because again, he's I so far. Moving on to Ilkay Gundogan. Now, Gundogan has obviously only been at the club for 6 months, but I feel comfortable enough to put him in great. I feel like he's been a great player for us so far. He's been one of the bright spots on this team this year as well as Cancelo, I think, in my opinion. Obviously, new players that came in. I really like the way that Gundogan plays. I think his passing ability is obviously elite, and he's still a really, really good player. After winning the treble last year with Man City and being a pivotal part for that Man City team, and obviously being a captain for that team, he comes to Barcelona on a free transfer. He wanted to come play for us, and he's delivered, man, in my opinion. I think he gets kind of frustrated sometimes with the way that the team plays because obviously he's used to Man City where they win everything and everything's so organized and so great and they score goals for fun. And Barca, obviously this season you could argue we've been the opposite of Man City because we have not been good whatsoever and so disorganized in our attack. But I feel like Ilkay Gundogan has like calming veteran presence on the team, and I really like the fact that guys like Pedri and Gavi and Fermin Lopez can learn from a guy like this who is one of the best midfielders of this generation, especially in the Premier League, and a guy who knows how to win trophies and play that position. So to me, Ilkay Gundogan, I think he's great. I think he's a great, great player, and I'm really happy to have him at the club. Next, we got Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Great, bro. This guy, his 6 months at the club were some of the best times I've ever had watching a striker at Barcelona since probably Luis Suarez left. This guy was so good, man. The hat-trick against Valencia, the 2 goals against the 2 goals against Real Madrid in the Bernabeu, the game against Napoli, the away leg, the goal against Galatasaray, I'm pretty sure he scored a goal in that leg in the Europa League. This guy was so good, man. Did more for us than Lewandowski ever did. People don't want to have that conversation, but it's true. This guy was so pivotal for that team and helping us get to 2nd place and qualify for the UCL that year after having a shaky start to the season. Coming in from Arsenal where everybody thought he was a locker room cancer and a shitty teammate, and he comes to Barca and never had a problem with us. Actually was one of the bright spots in that locker room. I love Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. I wish he would have stayed at the club. I feel like Barca would be in a much better position right now if Aubameyang was still playing for us instead of the other guy that we're going to get to very shortly here. But to me, Aubameyang, man, if you know, you know. This is a guy like Luuk de Jong. The streets will never forget Aubameyang's 6 months at Barcelona because this guy every time every game he started, it seemed like he did something amazing. So to me, I'm gonna put him in great, and I miss him a lot. Moving on to Sergio Aguero. He's going to go into It's Complicated. He's the only player that I made this tier for, by the way. Kun Agüero is the only player that's going to go into It's Complicated because it is really complicated what happened with him at Barcelona. He came in looking to play with Messi, and then Messi leaves to PSG, and then he's basically left alone on this team. And then midway through his Barca tenure, he obviously suffers some heart issues and he has to retire from football. So I can't say he was bad, I can't say he was great, I can't say he was because he only played like 3 months for us. And obviously he had to retire from football. It wasn't like he got like a knick-knack injury and then just retired. He literally could have died on the pitch. So he had to leave the sport. So to me, it's complicated with Kun Agüero. Now, I'm not a big fan of this guy after retirement. I think he's become kind of annoying. But while he was playing, obviously, he's one of the best strikers in Premier League history. At Barca, nothing memorable, obviously, because like I said, he only played a few months for us. So it's complicated with Kun Agüero. That's really all I can say about it. Moving on to Joao Felix. I'm going to be honest, bro. I have not been impressed with Joao Felix whatsoever. I'm going to put him in bad. Now, obviously, he scored that banger against Betis in the game in the weekend, and he scored that goal against Atletico Madrid, and he had a great couple first games at the club against Antwerp and against Betis. Again, he loves scoring against Betis for some reason, but he also scored against Betis in that game and scored against Betis on the weekend, both games away and at home. But to me, Joao Felix, he just hasn't lived up to what I thought he was going to be. I thought this guy, after playing with Cholo Simeone and playing with Chelsea, he was going to come to Barca and be really, really good for us. Now, again, it could be the fact that he doesn't have, like, this Barca team's attack is really not great because of the tactics that we deploy from our manager. But I still don't think that that Joao Felix has been up to par for us. I don't think he's been up to par. And if it was up to me, we wouldn't resell him. We wouldn't re-sign him. Sorry, I wouldn't sign him permanently from Atletico Madrid, especially with the fee that they're asking for. I don't think it's worth it to sign Joao Felix. So to me, I'm gonna put him in bad. He's just been really disappointing in my opinion. Next up, we got Robert Lewandowski. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be respectful to one of the best number 9s of this generation and put him in I. I'm gonna be respectful here. As I burp in the middle of the video, I'm gonna be respectful here. So I'm going to put him in I. But I could very easily put him in bad. With the expectations that this guy had coming in from Bayern Munich, after being the best striker in the world over the past 2 years, he comes to Barcelona, and we looked at him as our saving grace. This guy's the number 9 that we need to take us to the next level. And the fact that I'm talking about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang having a better tenure at Barcelona than fucking Lewandowski is crazy, bro. He had 4 good months at the club, and then post-World Cup, since last year, he's been subpar. It's time to have that conversation, and I'm having it right now. I think most Barca fans are on my side on this. We know that Robert Lewandowski has not been good enough. Now, there's a few delusional Robert Lewandowski fans who still swear by this guy to this day and say that he doesn't get enough service and it's not his fault. I don't know what the fuck you're watching, bro. This guy's not been good for us. He has not been good for us. He's been one of the worst players in La Liga this season. I'm saying that honestly. I'm not even saying that as a joke. He's been terrible, man. Not good enough to me whatsoever to play for Barcelona anymore. He needs to be sold immediately in the summer. I cannot believe he wants to play one more year for the club, and that is unacceptable in my opinion. Again, one of the best strikers of this generation. This guy is a fantastic player, but right now the fact of the matter is he's just not good enough. So he's going to go into I for me because I'm being respectful of what he's done, like what he did his first few months at the club before World Cup. But post that, he's not been good. Hector Bellerin, bad. He just wasn't good for us whatsoever. One of the most forgettable Barca tenures I can remember in my whole life. I mean, this guy, I can't remember a single significant moment that he had against Barca. And then lastly, we got Adama Traore, who's also going to go into bad. Adama's first few games, he was really, really good in my opinion. I thought he coming off the bench with Luuk de Jong, he was always looking to make something happen. He was just bodying people and carrying the ball forward and crossing the ball in. But Adama, his last few games, like his last few months at the club, he just wasn't good, and hence why he went back, obviously, to the Premier League, because we just didn't have a reason to keep him because he wasn't great. So for me, Adama Traore, I really like watching Adama play. I think he's one of the most physically, obviously, gifted footballers of all time. And he's just I just like watching a guy who looks like a bodybuilder run down the pitch and be faster and stronger than everybody. It's really, really fun. But as a footballer for Barca, let's be honest, he really wasn't great. And that, guys, is the end of the tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I try not to make these videos too long, but again, I like to go in depth and talk about all these players and give you guys my reasoning as to why I'm putting them in each tier. So if you guys like these long videos, let me know if you want them to be shorter. I'm not sure if I can do that. I'll try, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that because then again, I can't speak my mind, and that's the whole point of YouTube, where I can just make long form content. So again, I'm going to try and make these shorter, but no promises. If you like longer videos, let me know in the comment section. And yeah, man, thank you guys so much for watching. I love every single one of you, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.